I used to demonize myself and my body during the times of the month where I felt tired, when I had brain fog, when I felt unattractive and uninspired. I didn't understand then that I, along with most women, are basically a different woman every week of the month. I was really mean to myself until I started understanding that I oscillate through cycles and there's a way to live in alignment and in tune with these cycles. Hello, my loves, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, I'm Leeor Alexandra. Welcome to the B community. On this channel, we talk about the law of attraction, spirituality, personal development, and so much more. And the so much more today is about the 4 stages of a woman's monthly cycle and how to get the most out of them and be the most accepting of each of these stages. Because being our own worst critic and enemy is not a way to live life, and I'm done doing that. So as women, we have a really powerful tool at our disposal, one that we don't really have much say about, so we might as well learn to befriend it, and that is our menstrual cycle. By syncing our daily routines with our natural cycles, we can tap into our natural wisdom and our intuition. So today I'm going to share some practical tips on how to sync our daily routines with our menstrual cycles, the importance of rest and self-care, and how we can nourish ourselves spiritually during different phases. I always had a hard time understanding what stage of my cycle was on until I found the sponsor of today's video. Sometimes the universe comes together and aligns so perfectly. Kismet happens so graciously, and I get to work with a company that I have been a fan of and that I believe in and that I have been using for at least 7 months now, and that I enjoyed so much that I even reached out to them to work with them, and they wanted to work with me, which is really amazing. So a big shout out to the new sponsor on our channel, the app 28. So this video is about how I'm changing my life by working with my cycles instead of against them like I have been my entire life. And this journey would have been so much more difficult if I hadn't miraculously discovered the app 28. 28 is changing the game when it comes to women's health. They are the world's first cycle-based fitness and wellness experience, which offers cycle tracking. It tells you daily what day of your cycle you're on. Like mine is, I'm finally on the follicular phase, day 6 of my cycle, and it gives you so many insights on where you are every day of your cycle. It tells me what exercises will benefit me most, and it gives me video exercises. Mind you, this is all free. And did you know that you're not supposed to be doing the same workouts throughout your month? Women are supposed to work in alignment with their hormones. And so this gives you different workouts for every stage of your monthly cycle. The app also provides science-backed nutrition info, what you're supported in eating and what you should be eating depending on where you are. So right now I should be focusing on fats and proteins. So it says with menstruation ending, carbohydrate suggestions will be lower calorie. Tells you what kind of proteins you should have, what kind of veggies you should have. It gives you so much insight. It's all really hyper personalized to where you are in your natural cycle, and it's controlled by you. I've been getting the craziest compliments since I started working with my cycles instead of against them. For the first time since I was a teenager, people are commenting on me in person that I look good, that I look like I've dropped weight, that I'm glowing. And even if I've had any plastic surgery done, I have not. I'm just living in tune with my nature, and my body is filling out and kind of leaning out in places where it's supposed to, where it's natural and healthy. And curves tend to be a sign of good health. So every morning after my morning routine, before I check email, Instagram, Twitter, all the apps, I check 28. I want to know how my energy is going to be, what I can be expecting today. It gives you all these insights on your emotions, your body, guidance on your path, your social life, your career, your romance, your feminine energy, your beauty, your creativity. It just demystifies your body. I can't recommend them enough. And this app is free. So they do have a premium version, which gives you access to their recipes that go along with wherever you are in your cycle. But the majority of the app, I would say 95% of the app, is completely free. You have access to all the insights for free. All the exercises, everything. It's unbelievable. So please support this woman-owned company by downloading the app for free in the App Store. Thank you 28 for sponsoring this video. I appreciate you and I'm so happy to get to work with you. So let's start by breaking down the 4 phases of our cycle and some spiritual practices that might be nice to do in each phase that support that phase. So first, there's the menstrual phase. That is about day 1 to 5 or 6 of your monthly cycle. This is the time when you're actually bleeding or just ending your bleed. During this phase, our energy is typically lower. You may feel really inward focused. You don't really want to socialize and be out with people, be out into the world. In my life, I keep the first 3 days of my bleed as sacred as possible. This is a time for me to not plan anything on those days. And if I can help it, I try not to work. Now, I know and I acknowledge that not all of us have the privilege to take off a day or 2 or even an hour, much less 3 days off of work every time that we bleed. I wish that we all did. I wish that society would be able to hold us in that way. But if that's not a possibility, then maybe just scheduling your life and your schedule in a way where you're taking some time away from socializing or from overdoing it during that time of the month, the first 3 days. Whatever I share in this video, please know that I am totally aware that it's not accessible to everyone. And instead of thinking to yourself, well, there's no possible way that I can do that, I want you to try to think, well, how can I do this in my life? How can I implement something like this in my life? And I think that you're gonna see answers to these questions coming up naturally. So some practices that are really nice to do during these 3 days, the beginning of your bleed, might be restorative yoga. I never like to do hard workouts during my menstrual cycle. I like to keep it really soft and really light. I like to do meditation. I like to journal. It's a great time to reflect on the past month and to maybe even set intentions for the month ahead. So just some quiet time for yourself. I also really like to do shadow work during this time because, a lot of emotions arise. We can become easily triggered, and then it's easier to follow those emotions and those triggers and to explore them. I let myself feel everything. I let myself cry it out. I feel that often as women, we have to cry during this time because we are purging and healing for the collective, for all of mankind. So cry as much as you need to. Give yourself that grace, and hopefully the people in your life are willing to give you that grace as well. Quite importantly, I do something that I was taught by a friend's mom when I was a teenager. I don't make any important decisions during this time. I wait to feel what I'm feeling during this part of the first 1 to 5 to 6 days of my cycle. I feel everything, especially while I'm bleeding. I feel everything, but I make decisions when the bleed is done. We are very intuitive during this time, so listen to the inner messages and feelings that arise. Just wait to act on them until this stage of the cycle is over, until hormones have started to balance. Next up after the bleed is the follicular phase. This is days 6 to 14 of your cycle. This is the time in between the menstrual phase and in between ovulation. Your energy starts to rise. You're gonna see that on the app. It tells you, you have swan energy. You may feel more social, more outgoing. Some spiritual practices that I like to do during the follicular phase are breath work. I like to dance and I like to express myself creatively. So I'm really feeling inspired during this time. That's the phase that I'm in right now. And I just started to create all these videos, whereas right before my menstrual phase, I was not feeling as creative. I was feeling more inward and I didn't want to express myself creatively as much, right? This is also a great time to try new things, to tap into your inner creativity. And that doesn't mean, you have to be an artist. You can be creative in many different ways, right? I feel alive and alert and more sensual during this time. The world starts to be rosy again. I want to start socializing and I start to feel more confident. This is also when I start to work out a little bit more. The app will encourage that and give you harder workouts. It's a good time to start strength training, to start lifting weights, and it also leads into the ovulatory phase, which is days 15 to 21. So I have to tell you guys the most embarrassing thing. I can't even believe that I am admitting it on a video, but until late into adulthood, I had no idea that you couldn't get pregnant unless you're ovulating, okay? It's actually insane that I did not know this. I'm well read. I'm well educated. I went to one of the best private universities in the country in the world. And I just did not know this until my mid-20s at least, okay? That's how distant we've become from our cycles. That's how little sex education helps us in school. I know I'm not the only one. I've spoken to women, I know, and men as well. They also don't know this. So anyway, ovulation is the time when you're most fertile and your body is primed for reproduction. So our energy is typically highest during ovulation. You're gonna feel more outgoing, you're gonna feel more confident, and this is also when we build muscle the best. So if you're strength training, if you're trying to build muscle, you want to work around your cycle. You build muscle the best around this ovulation time. So you should be focusing your weight training to be around this time. Some spiritual practices that I like to do during this phase is I like to visualize, I like to do my manifestation ceremonies and rituals, and I like to be out in nature as much as possible. I like to be out in the world, in the earth, in the mother, in the womb. This is also a good time to focus on your goals, on your dreams, and to take inspired action towards them. And then we have the luteal phase. I hope I'm saying these words right. Remember that English is my second language. So during the luteal phase, our energy starts to decrease. If you suffer from PMDD like I have, this is the time where things get really wonky and a little bit difficult. If you don't suffer from PMDD, you might still become a lot more introspective, a lot more reflective. You might want to be a little bit less out in the world and a little bit more to yourself. I give myself the grace during this time to be home more, to socialize less. But as I balance my hormones, I do feel like I need less and less time to live like a hermit, and I have more energy around this time, which is nice because I want it to be up to me whether I want to socialize or not up to my imbalances, all right? Some spiritual practices that I enjoy doing around this time are yin yoga, self-reflection, and tuning deeply into my intuition, into what's arising within me. Shadow work, again, is good during this time. So I just want you to prioritize your cycles and what you need during each cycle. So during the menstrual phase, slow down, rest as much as you need. During the follicular phase, take care of yourself in indulgent ways, right? During your ovulation, focus on eating foods that are rich in nutrients, and the app will tell you which nutrients are good for which time and that support your reproductive health. I think vitamin C foods are really good for this. During your luteal phase, you want to tune into your intuition and see what's coming up for you and what you want to experience in the next month, in the next cycle ahead. We are cyclical beings. Women are cyclical beings. Men experience cycles on a 24-hour basis while we experience them on a 28-day cycle basis. So it's important to see that we are different. We are capable of accomplishing and doing anything that we set our minds to. But we are different creatures with different makeups, and we have to live in accordance to that in order to find our happiest, healthiest, most balanced life, right? Ultimately, I think that the key to tuning in with your cycle is to really respect your body's natural rhythm. And by doing that, we can tap into our wisdom, we can make better decisions and live more balanced, happy lives. If you're interested in exploring more on the spiritual practices of your menstrual cycle, please let me know. For example, we can talk about moon rituals in our routine. We can talk about goddess archetypes that resonate with each different phase of the cycle. If you want a video on any of these, please let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, if you got something out of it, I'd really appreciate if you left a comment, if you left a thumbs up, and if you shared with a friend who needs to hear this. If you haven't subscribed yet, please make sure you subscribe and join the Bee community. And please support the woman-owned free app 28. And if you want to tweet about it, let them know that I sent you. That would be really nice. I'd really appreciate that. I love you so much. Until next time, as always, keep your vibrations way up. Bye.